Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we dive into the wildest stories from the internet. Today's story, oh man, it's one for the books. Imagine this, a peaceful family barbecue turned into absolute chaos when a self-righteous vegan Karen storms in and slaps a disabled child, all because he dared to eat meat. Yeah, you heard that right. Buckle up, this one's gonna be a ride. I've lived in this quiet suburban neighborhood for about 10 years now. It's the kind of place where families host barbecues on the weekends, kids ride their bikes up and down the street, and everyone knows everyone. My house, it's practically the unofficial gathering spot for family and friends. My backyard's spacious, with a sturdy old grill that's been there since we moved in. Cooking out isn't just a pastime, it's a tradition. The sizzle of meat on the grill, the mouth-watering aroma, the sound of laughter filling the air. It's how we unwind, how we bond, how we celebrate being together. But every neighborhood has that one person who just can't stand seeing others happy. For us, that person is Karen. Now, Karen's not just your average neighbor with a few complaints. Oh no, she's on a mission, a self-appointed warrior of vegan justice. To her, my backyard barbecues aren't just annoying, they're an attack on her very existence. Every time I fire up the grill, she shows up like clockwork, arms crossed, face twisted in disgust, spewing some lecture about how we're poisoning the community with the smell of dead animal flesh. I've learned to ignore it, mostly. But what I didn't know, what none of us saw coming, was just how far Karen would go to make her point. I mean, who could have predicted that one day she'd snap and cross a line so unforgivable that it left the entire neighborhood in shock? Stick around. You won't believe what happened next. It was one of those perfect Saturday afternoons. Warm, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. The grill was fired up, smoke swirling through the air, and the unmistakable aroma of barbecued ribs wafted down the street. My family was gathered in the backyard, laughter ringing out as my cousin cracked another ridiculous joke. It was exactly the kind of day that made everything feel right with the world. And Sam, my son, was right there in the middle of it all. His face lit up as I placed a plate of freshly grilled chicken wings in front of him. His absolute favorite. Sam's just 10 years old and he's been in a wheelchair since birth. But that doesn't stop him from being the happiest, most resilient kid I know. Seeing his smile, that's everything. Thanks, Dad, he beamed, grabbing a wing and digging in, completely in his element. Just as I turned back to tend the grill, that's when it happened. A sharp, sickening slap echoed through the yard. I spun around, heart hammering in my chest, and froze. Sam was sitting there, his plate knocked to the ground, chicken wings scattered across the dirt, and standing over him, breathing hard, was Karen. I couldn't process it. It didn't make sense. Karen had slapped the food right out of his hands. My boy was trembling, eyes wide, lips quivering, and Karen, she was still yelling. "Eating meat is wrong!" she shrieked, voice piercing through the air. "You're poisoning him! You're ruining his health! Your parents are making you sick!" Sam didn't say a word, just stared at the ground, confused and scared. My hands clenched into fists, but I forced myself to stay calm. I took a step forward, putting myself between Karen and my son. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I barked, voice shaking with fury. Karen didn't back down. Instead, she jabbed a finger in my face, her eyes blazing with some kind of unhinged righteousness. "You're killing him. You're feeding him that toxic garbage and making him disabled. Don't you care about your own child?" The rage boiling inside me was like nothing I'd ever felt before. She wasn't just lecturing me about food anymore. She was blaming me for my son's disability. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears, but I kept myself in check. Barely. "That's enough," I snapped. "You don't ever talk about my son like that. You don't know a damn thing about his condition?" Karen scoffed, shaking her head like I was some kind of ignorant fool. "If you fed him a cruelty-free diet, he'd be cured by now. You're just too stupid to see it." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my hands from shaking. Sam was still frozen in place, staring at the crushed wings like they were the last bit of comfort ripped away from him. My family was already gathering around, trying to make sense of what just happened. But Karen, she didn't care about the chaos she caused. She just stood there, smug and self-righteous, as if she'd just performed some heroic act. I couldn't let her keep doing this. I had to protect my son. But before I could say anything more, Karen's voice cut through the noise like a knife. "I'm calling the HOA. I'm calling the police. You can't just poison children and get away with it." And that's when I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The cops showed up faster than I expected. 2 squad cars rolling up with lights flashing, the neighbors already peeking out from their windows to see what all the commotion was about. Karen, ever the drama queen, immediately went full hysterical mode, pointing at me with wild eyes. "Officer! Officer!" she screeched. "He's abusing his child, feeding him meat, poisoning him. This entire neighborhood is supposed to be vegan. Arrest him! Arrest him now!" One of the officers, a tall guy with a tired look like he'd seen way too much of this nonsense, raised an eyebrow and glanced over at me. "Sir, can you explain what's going on here?" I took a breath, trying to steady myself. We were having a family barbecue in my own backyard, and Karen here came onto my property and slapped food out of my son's hands. She's been harassing us for years about eating meat. Karen's face twisted in outrage. "Harassing? I'm protecting this community from your disgusting habits. You're literally killing your son, feeding him dead animal flesh. No wonder he's disabled." That was it. I couldn't hold back anymore. "Don't you dare!" My voice came out low, steady, but every word was soaked in fury. "You don't know a damn thing about my son or why he's in that wheelchair. You don't get to walk into my yard and attack my child." One of the officers held up a hand, trying to diffuse the tension. "Ma'am, did you physically touch the child?" Karen's mouth flapped open and shut, like a fish out of water. I knocked the food out of his hands because it was hurting him. I was saving him." The officer sighed, clearly unimpressed. "Ma'am, stepping onto someone's private property and physically engaging with a minor, that's assault." Karen's eyes widened, and suddenly her whole demeanor shifted. "Wait, no, I was just doing the right thing. You can't arrest me for trying to save him." "Ma'am," the other officer cut in, his tone stern, "we're going to have to ask you to come with us. You can explain your side of the story downtown." She didn't take it well. Karen flailed and screamed as they cuffed her, shrieking about her rights and how she was the real victim here. One of the cops glanced at me with a sympathetic look. "I'm really sorry about this, sir," he said. "We'll take her in and file a report. Is your son okay?" I looked over at Sam, who was still clutching his wheelchair handles, knuckles white, eyes fixed on the dirt where his chicken wings had fallen. I walked over and knelt down, resting a hand on his shoulder. "Hey, buddy," I said softly. "You okay?" Sam hesitated, then gave me a small nod, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah. I didn't know why she was so mad." I swallowed back the lump in my throat, squeezing his shoulder reassuringly. "She's just not right in the head, buddy. It wasn't your fault." As they loaded Karen into the squad car, kicking and screaming like a child throwing a tantrum, I couldn't help but feel a surge of relief. Finally, it was over. At least, that's what I thought, but I had no idea. Karen's reign of terror wasn't done just yet. A few months after Karen's dramatic arrest, rumors started spreading around the neighborhood. Turns out Karen wasn't just a self-righteous vegan crusader. She was also a tax evader. Yeah, you heard that right. Once the cops took her in, someone did a little digging and found out she hadn't paid taxes on her ethical vegan catering business in years. The IRS doesn't mess around, and neither did the health department, apparently. Rumor has it, her kitchen wasn't exactly up to code either. Long story short, Karen's business went under, her reputation tanked, and she had to move out of the neighborhood, probably to find a place where people didn't already know her as Crazy Karen, the chicken wing slayer. Life went back to normal after that. Barbecues were peaceful again, and Sam? He bounced back faster than I expected. Still loves his chicken wings, and every time I grill a new batch, he just grins at me and says, "Dad, make sure Karen's not around." We both laugh, but I know deep down it left a mark on him and on me too. So what's the lesson here? Stand up for your family no matter what. Don't let entitled people push you around, especially when it comes to protecting your kids. And maybe, just maybe, don't mess with people's barbecues. What do you guys think? Have you ever dealt with a Karen like this? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more crazy stories just like this one. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next one.